LeBron and the Lakers have agreed on a 2-year contract extension. It's worth over $97 million. It includes a player option for the 24-25 season. What does it mean for LeBron? Well, it means he's rich, among other things. He's been in the league since 2003, and he's now made over $500 million, or by the time this deal is done, he will have. It will make him the highest earning player in NBA history. That's wonderful for him. But the more immediate questions for the rest of us are, what does this mean for his chances of continuing to win and the Lakers? And so here's Brian Windhorst with all of those answers. So, Wendy, here's the way I want to frame this. We've all had some time now to digest the numbers. We saw this story come out in the middle of the day yesterday. The fans want to know what's important here. What do they need to know about why this matters for LeBron and for the Lakers?
Let's talk about two things. Number one, this means that LeBron has trust in the Lakers that they are going to continue to do what needs to be done to build a team around him. And the reason that that's relevant is because last year at the trade deadline, when they didn't make moves and they held on to draft picks, LeBron was clearly miffed. And here they have a couple of first-round draft picks they have not yet traded in a Russell Westbrook deal. He could have made them sweat a little bit. Greeny, he could have played this out until next June if he wanted to before signing this extension. By doing it now, he takes that drama off the table and says, listen, I want to be here. I trust you're going to build a team around me. The second thing is he structured this contract in a way that he can still be a free agent again when his son Bronny is eligible to come to the NBA. I don't know what kind of player Bronny will be 2 years from now. I don't know where LeBron will be in his career, but he built a player option into this contract so that he can have flexibility if and when Bronny James comes to the NBA.
Okay, and we understand that. That's a wonderful storyline for him, for his family. All of us understand why that could be a priority for him. But let's talk about what happens before then. Because with LeBron at this stage of his career and with the Lakers in general, Wendy, as you know, it's all about championships. Is there anything they can do? I mean, the name Kyrie Irving, at least in my mind, is going to continue to float over this thing until it goes completely away. Is there a move that can be made out there that in these next 2 or 3 years we could see LeBron back in a championship scenario?
Well, the Lakers have the option of sort of breaking down and restarting through cap space next summer, which is why I wondered whether LeBron would lock himself in. Now, we've seen two big-time players, both Chris Paul and James Harden, take pay cuts from the max contract to help their teams restructure around them. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean LeBron had to do that. He doesn't owe the Lakers or anybody that. But by signing now, he takes that off the table. As the Lakers are currently constructed, they would not have max cap space next summer with LeBron signing this extension. So that's one thing to point out. But I think in the short term, at some point, I think they will be able to find a Russell Westbrook deal. No matter what you think about him as a player, he's still an expiring contract. If they're willing to take on money, will have the opportunity to get players for him, I think, at some point. Your question about whether that can be a player like Kyrie Irving or whether it can help them actually get back towards championship contention, that is what we're all waiting to see. LeBron signing this says he believes in Rob Pelinka. We'll see if that belief is justified.
Well, it's been awfully quiet on the Kyrie front, not so much on the KD front. I've been away on vacation a little bit here, but I've been following as best I can. Where are we with Kyrie? Like, what should the fans be thinking is happening regarding him right now?
I think Kyrie is invested in being a Brooklyn Net next year. Obviously, there was some turmoil with his contract extension not happening. He realizes his best path going forward to get the contract he wants in Brooklyn or elsewhere is to have a very good season. And so from what I can gather, it appears that he and the Nets are looking forward to meeting up in training camp. Now, whether Kevin Durant is there and his level of buy-in, that's the big question. But right now, I think the Nets want to run this team back, and they're hoping that Kevin Durant agrees. The way that they're conducting trade talks and the prices that they are asking has teams out there thinking they don't really want to trade Kevin Durant anyway. They want to bring this team back. So we'll see if Durant goes along with that come training camp.
I told you this 2 months ago on the radio, Wendy, that is it's the thing that makes the most sense for the Nets, without question. They can say whatever they want publicly, and they can say whatever they want to Durant. But giving it at least one try with KD, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons is the thing that makes the most sense for them. At this moment, does that feel like the likeliest way this thing winds up in Brooklyn?
Yeah, that's what I think what the team wants. And I think the team thinks that the results on the court will make everybody feel a little bit better. But I just can't get a good feel on where Kevin Durant is. I mean, he is asked to be traded and told no, so far at least. He's asked for the coach to be fired. He's asked for the general manager to be fired. He keeps getting told no. Does he take all of those no's and still show up to training camp? That's something that I think we're going to have to wait and watch.
We'll be waiting and watching with bated breath. There's no question. Wendy, outstanding as always. Thank you very much. It's a wonderful morning for us to get up because team-building perspective. Now let's talk about what it means from a basketball perspective. And Jay Will has made his way over from across the hall, KJM on ESPN Radio. I think there's really only one question that your basketball fan wants to ask today. LeBron's committed to the Lakers for the next 3 years now. Can they in
Is
that
he for 3 years?
It's the year plus the 2, right, or the extension?
Opt-out.
Or he's got the opt-out. But let's just say for the sake of argument, he's not leaving after 1.
Okay.
Can they build a championship team in that time?
Well, you can always build a championship team around LeBron James. But the question is, I just question the health. That's why I wouldn't bet on the Lakers to win a championship. The health of Anthony Davis, what I've seen, history proved the health of LeBron James, 45 games 2 years ago. This game, 56 games this year. They didn't make the playoffs. I think LeBron James is the greatest player I've ever seen in the game of basketball. That's debatable, fine, if you like Michael Jordan. I just think down the stretch, the health of LeBron James is it's the biggest question that you have as it relates to his team. And currently constructed, no, I think there are teams sniffing the playoffs, even if they're both healthy.
You know what LeBron has always done, I think so brilliantly during his career, is keep all of his commitments short so that teams are forced to do, for lack of a better way of putting it, whatever it is he wants to make sure he doesn't walk. Now that they don't have that pressure around them, is this a good arrangement? Do you like this for all parties involved?
I love this for LeBron James. I think for LeBron James, this is a beautiful thing because I think in 2024, 2025, when Bronny James is able to come out and be drafted, I think he's leveraged the marketplace for his son to potentially be taken in the lottery, Greeny. Now, and people are going to say right now he's not a draft player, right? He's not a player that can play in the NBA. But in 2 years from now, if LeBron James is still operating at a high level, you're telling me any franchise, he said it, I want to play my last season with my son. You're telling me the market for LeBron James to have his last hurrah, his last dance for teams like the Orlando Magic or the Sacramento Kings isn't going to leverage the marketplace for his son to be drafted? I mean, to me, that's the most beautiful piece of nepotism I've ever seen in my life.
No, I get it. I understand that part, and I see why for the family that would be incredibly special. For the rest of us who are just concerned about the basketball piece of this, I guess I'll circle back to it. Is LeBron going to finish out this part of his career in some degree of anonymity? They weren't even in the play-in last year. Is that what we're looking at for the Lakers over the next 2 seasons?
I mean, a lot of it depends upon Rob Pelinka and the pieces he puts around LeBron James and what Rich Paul and Clutch and how them and Jenny Buss come together.
Can he get Kyrie Irving? That's the question here, Jay Will. Can he get Kyrie Irving? That seems to be their one chance.
I don't know if I don't know if they're willing to offer enough for Kyrie Irving. That comes down to them offering more than one draft pick for Kyrie Irving when they're already slated, not having a lot of draft picks to offer. So in the next 2 years, if I'm Jenny Buss, I still will go all in to get LeBron James another championship.
Could he do it? If you put Kyrie Irving on this group,
if you put Kyrie, well, depending upon what you have to give up, but if you're putting Kyrie Irving,
you're giving up draft picks, it's
Anthony Davis and LeBron James on the same team, yes.
That's a team
you
that
can win a world championship with those three.
That's a team that this coming season could compete for the title.
Depending upon who you added to the bench or depth, but having those 3 players as your core, 1,000% you can win a world championship.
All right, so look, to me, that remains the thing to be watched here. For LeBron, for his family, that's all wonderful. I understand that being his priority. But for the rest of us who are just following the league, can they get LeBron another championship before it's too late for him?
Yes, but you have to be willing to sacrifice the long-term outlook of your team to do that. But in my opinion, to get another championship for the Laker organization after everything they've been through with Jenny Buss and company, yes, it's worth it.
All right, spin the ball one time as we say goodbye. Jay Will, every weekday morning, KJM on ESPN Radio.
It's on demand.
Thank you very much.
On demand, brother.
All right, back to football we go. And let's play a game we